I will. I'll do some fancy schmancy stuff later, and put this video out like as a video podcast or whatever.
All right, awesome.
I'll do something with it. We'll have some fun with it, and the main thing, of course, was that you were telling me like you like doing video. I'm really having fun doing video. It's just different and it's easier for me. I just feel more engaged with the conversation. Just I could see you through the magic of computer technology there.
It's crazy at what technology has done for us these days.
I love it. I am gonna do so for the people listening, watching, or whatever. We're on a blab right now. People may be listening to this recording just on audio. We'll jump into just an introduction, and then we'll just kind of get into an informal conversation. This is my first and Dad Makes 7 podcast using Blab, so we're kind of learning together here, but we're two guys who know how to talk, so we figured that out. So just really quickly here, James is I can't read my writing. This is great. James is a Christian husband and father, a recently turned blogger, and truly a source of weekly motivation from his Bowtie Friday videos. James Roberson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. And so the people watching this are going, didn't they just do this? But this is how it works, right? This is behind the scenes stuff when you get to see how the sausage is made. So I want to, my handy dandy notes here. I want to dig deeper into your idea of construction ministry and your inspiration. Oh, this is a good one. Inspiration ministry.
Yeah, I love that, man.
So I want us to dig deeper into construction ministry, your music ministry, and inspiration ministry. But first, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself more than what I just did there. So kind of tell everybody listening, watching, who James Roberson is and what's going on.
Right on, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure life out. You know, one of these days I'm going to find that magic key somewhere. But basically, I just, I guess it's been about 10 years ago when, I was actually sitting in the pastor's office. We had just started going to this church and just got to talking to him one evening. And it all just kind of clicked and made sense. I'd heard about, I'd heard the gospel when I was younger and things like that. Went to church kind of off and on. But then, whatever God plan had going on at that point, that was the night that it just all kind of clicked. And so from then I've just been trying to learn more, and just make my life what he wants it to be. Like I said, one of these days I'm going to figure out what that is. I hope. I don't know. Maybe
let me know when
it.
you figure it out. We can wrap that up. Maybe we could sell that. Maybe we could sell an online course on how to figure out life. Right?
As long as you can sell it for like $5.99 or less, I think you're golden.
There we go. It'll be an email list opt-in.
Yeah, there you go. So started getting involved in the church and everything, and pretty early on got involved in a construction ministry that was based out of the church I was attending, and just really fell in love with it, man, for the ministry opportunities. Plus it was just fun. It was something that was really enjoyable for me. And so, really started diving into that, and wasn't too long into that, I got asked to help out in a leadership role with that ministry. And so I did that for several years. During that time, a good friend of mine actually ended up starting another construction ministry. So I ended up kind of in a leadership role with that one. And so when I moved back home, because we were living about an hour away from where we grew up.
That's where's home at?
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we're right in between Washington D.C. and Richmond. We're kind of
you're that way, very, very far that way.
Yeah, way far.
As I say here in Southern California.
Yeah, and it's a little colder here probably too. It's kind of chilly and rainy today.
Thought I'd wear a hoodie just for you, man.
Right? Yeah, I've got a sweater on, man. It's crazy. I'm usually the one sitting here with a t-shirt and flip flops in the middle of December, but
Nice.
So yeah, man. So that all started playing together. Around that time of that night when I was sitting in the pastor's office, my wife and I got married not long after that. And we've now got 3 kids and everything. And so, and even I've gotten them involved in the construction ministry. I think both of my daughters have been up on rooftops, not too long after they could walk.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so like I said, we moved back to Fredericksburg after we'd been living out of the area for a while, and just had some life changes as far as work and everything like that goes on, and got to a point where I wasn't volunteering, I wasn't involved in the construction ministry anymore, just kind of because of distance and just life kind of got in the way, it seemed like. And so a few weeks back, we had a conversation in Sunday school. We just started going to this new church up here. And it's not a new church. We are new to the church.
Yeah. What's the name of that church?
Chancellor Baptist. It was established, I think, in like 85, somewhere around in there.
Oh, cool.
And so we were having this conversation in Sunday school, and somebody said, "Hey, let's try to do a project as a Sunday school class, and go out and help some people in the community." So I kind of chimed in. It's like, "Well, hey, I've got experience doing this construction ministry thing, and we can go out and particularly reach out to elderly folks this time of year that might need help, winterizing their homes or cleaning up their yards or something like that, or disadvantaged families that need something repaired that can't afford it, or whatever the case might be." And so it caught like fire, man. People would just start, "Oh yeah, well, I can do this and I can do that." And before I left that day, I had 3 job requests from people that were like kind of friends of friends sort of situation where they knew somebody that needed some help or whatever. So all of a sudden, we get home and I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, "Hey, I got to do something here. I got to run with this." And so that evening, we're out walking the dog and walk past the house, and it happens to be some people that go to the church. And so they came out like, "Oh, hey, we've seen you at church." Kind of, it was the first time we'd really had a chance to talk with them a whole lot. And so got to talking to them. Come to find out, they had a passion for helping people and wanting to be in some sort of ministry, but didn't really know, where they fit. So I said, "Well, hey, I'm thinking about doing this construction ministry stuff. Maybe I would be glad to help out with that." And they jumped in head first without even, a second thought. And so, that was on a Sunday. By the following,
just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like a month ago or something. Yeah, it's crazy. So
cool.
By the following Friday, we had gotten in touch with the pastor at the church, had a work day set up, which is going to be November 21st, so 2 weeks from now. And that's going to be, like I said, our first actual work day. We're working on setting up a nonprofit. And so, we've already had a team meeting of some folks that are involved in or they want to be involved in leadership with it. So it caught on like wildfire, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh my goodness, what happened?"
Oh man. Yeah. You know what? I've learned this. When you raise your hand, when somebody says, "Hey, can you get some help?" or
Right.
You'd like someone to help, and you go, "Okay, me." All of a sudden your phone starts ringing, and there's all these opportunities. You're like, "Ooh."
Oh yeah. Yeah. It shot off, man. It was crazy.
That's awesome. So I'm going to turn my fan off here. Hold on one second. It's making me dizzy.
All right.
I was thinking, should I just leave the fan on? And it was like going to distract me the entire time. It's like a video faux pas, right? You're not supposed to have a fan on in the background and blah, 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 right? So this construction ministry thing, honestly, man, I never even heard. It's so funny how all this stuff works out. So you and I kind of just recently kind of connected, I think via Matt Ham and the whole life group and that stuff. And then we were talking a little bit about your construction ministry and some of the stuff, and we'll get into I definitely want to hear about this flood, how you were helping with the flood. Mm-hmm. But in my Bible study, just a couple weeks ago, maybe it was even last week, someone else brought up the idea of a construction ministry, maybe starting one. It totally made me think about, I was like, "Oh, hey, James is doing that." What the heck is a construction ministry? So you kind of explained it a little bit, but can you elaborate on a little more?
Yeah. So for me, the way it started was, like I said, the church I was going to in Beaver Dam, Virginia, which is just outside of Richmond. It's called Beaver Dam Baptist. And they had started a program a couple of years before we joined the church called Mission to Beaver Dam. And the goal of it was just to be the church in the area that helped people. And, just to go out into the community and reach out and say, hey, we're here. We want to help you. We want to do what we can. And, any kind of little odd jobs. Really, like I said, it really started as yard cleanups and winterizations. So just kind of some smaller projects. And then it began to build and morph into some of these bigger projects, building handicap ramps, replacing roofs, all sorts of stuff like that.
And you do this basically no cost to the person you're helping.
Right. And, no cost to them as far as the labor is concerned. We, if they're able, we ask them to buy the materials just because, we didn't have any huge budget or anything like that. But there again, that was if they were able. If they couldn't, then we would work on, trying to set up some fundraising or, reach out to some local contractors or Lowe's and places like that and ask them to donate some stuff. So it worked out pretty well with that in that respect. But yeah, so basically the concept behind it was just that it was kind of twofold. One, it was to build the church. So it was a fantastic opportunity to get guys involved. I'm sure you probably are aware because of what you do as with the Dad Makes Seven thing and leading men in ministry and stuff like that. A lot of churches are plagued with, this thing of, okay, mom and the kids are coming to church, but dad's sitting at home watching the game. Yeah. Nothing wrong with watching the game. Love football, play football, but let's get everybody in church.
Yeah.
And so it really, that was kind of Pastor Stewart's sort of initial thought behind it was like, hey, this is something that can get guys involved, something that they'd be comfortable with, because it's a whole lot easier for me to come up to you and say, hey man, I'm going over to work on Mrs. Jones's house. Can you come help me, build a ramp for her? Or can you come help me, fix her roof? And then it is to say, and you're just like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, let's go do that. Whereas if I say, hey man, come to church with me, you're like, oh, I don't know about church, whatever. So it kind of builds that.
You nailed it. No pun intended. You nailed it, there, man. I mean, it's like, hey, do you want to just pray with me? Or, hey, dude, let's pick up some hammer and nails and go fix that fence or something. Like guys are guys, right? You're right. Especially if it's somebody that doesn't go to a Bible study or is maybe a lukewarm believer or not a believer. It's a lot easier to get somebody to say, hey, come on, let's go help this. You don't have to be a believer to want to go help an old lady fix, a chopped down tree or something.
Exactly.
And that's where it starts.
And honestly, that's where I was. Because even though, even after I accepted Christ and said, hey, this is where I'm going, it certainly wasn't like this, light bulb and all of a sudden my life was, I was a perfect person. I mean, I was still, going the opposite direction. Yeah.
No, wait. I thought I was woo, Halo.
That's not,
my
that's
Halo
not
is
how it
actually
works,
coming on a FedEx truck. I'm waiting.
Yeah. I've been waiting for that delivery for 10 years.
Man. If only, right?
But yeah, man. And so, that's kind of where I was. I was sitting there and I started realizing and learning. And it's one of those things, I think Christianity is one of those things where the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And so even today, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'm still, I've been studying and learning and making this journey, but yet I don't feel like I've necessarily really moved. I mean, things have changed. I feel different. I do things differently, and I try to, teach and learn differently. But have I really made that wholehearted change? That's a hard thing to figure out because there's certainly certain areas in my life where I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely a completely different person than I was 10 years ago. There's other areas where I'm thinking, you know what, I might be worse off than I was 10 years ago because I've been focusing over here and I let this go. So that was tough. But anyway, so it gave us that opportunity to reach out to those guys, bring them into to that aspect, and build that relationship to the point where then we could say, hey man, after we're done here, we're going to go over to the church and have a potluck dinner.
Oh yeah.
All right. So now we're in the door,
Yeah.
Reel them in. There again. Yeah. I mean, you got hammers and you got food. All right.
Oh yeah. Put on a movie that something blows up and you're perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. We're gonna watch the Die Hard, movies when we get back. We're all set.
For sure, man.
So yeah, man. So we started doing that. Well, that's how they started doing it. Like I said, I came into it a couple of years after they had already started it. But two things really happened. Is one, they started seeing a surge in guys coming to church. So the church was just getting stronger and stronger and stronger because they had families coming. And then the second thing that happened was it started to get known in the community that, hey, this church helps people. And I mean, literally, the pastor, he tells a story all the time in service about he was standing there. There's a little place called the Beaver Dam Quick Stop. So Beaver Dam, a little background there, is a tiny, tiny, tiny little town. There are no stoplights. There is a stop sign. And, it's just
no stoplights. There's a stop sign. Okay.
Right. Stop sign, no stoplights. And it's just, like I said, it's just a little tiny town out in the countryside of Hanover. And so there's a little place there called the Quick Stop. We got a little sandwich place, Quickie Mart type feel to it. And it now actually has the deli and a gun store all in the same building. Pretty cool.
Oh, I love it.
So he's up there one day, and he had a shirt on that said Beaver Dam Baptist. And so a guy standing there says, "Oh, that's that church that helps people." So that's what was happening. It was getting out in the community that that's what was going on based at this church.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so then outside of that, we were able to minister to the folks whose houses we were working on. There was many times we go out to do a job and you might end up talking to the homeowner for 30 minutes and not even doing anything. I remember one job in particular, actually, we were working on, there's an older lady and her son that lived together, and she was using a walker, and they had these steps at the back door that she was having trouble getting up. Because of the way the house is constructed and everything, we couldn't fit a ramp to that door because there just wasn't enough distance to put it. Okay. So we were able to just put some railings there so that she could actually hold on to the railing and just have something sturdy to hold on to getting up in the house, and it worked out for her. But while we were there, we had 5 people that went with us to build this thing. Ended up 2 of us built it, and three of the people that were with us ended up sitting inside just talking to her. And that's what she needed in her life right there, because she was an older lady. She was home pretty much all day by herself because her son was working and everything. And so, they just got to sit in there. They got to share Jesus with her. They got to, help her in the house a little bit, clean up a few things. They ended up preparing lunch with her, and she fed us all as we were working. So stuff like that just was happening where people were just really coming together and building those relationships. And so it ended up being, and that's why we always called it a construction ministry, because it was much less about the construction than it was about the ministry. One of the guys, the guy I was telling you about that ended up starting the other ministry outside of this one. One of the times we had a work day, and and now when I'm working on work days, I always say the same thing. But he was standing up kind of in front of her. We had that day we probably had about 100 people there that had come to volunteer on this work day. And he stood up and he just said, "Hey, we appreciate y'all coming out." And he said, "I want you to know that if you go out today and a hammer never comes off the truck, a nail never gets driven, but you tell one person about Jesus, we can go home knowing we had a successful day." And that's just always stuck with me, because that's what it's about. It's not about the nails and the hammers. We can go back the next day or 2 days later or whenever and finish the job. But if we have that opportunity to share Christ with them, that's what we're there for.
Man, I could tell you, this is relatively new to me. I'm at the church I'm at now. I've only been going there since April. And I raised my hand and said, "Hey, I'd love to help." And I've joined in with the men's ministry and my Bible study and whatnot. And we've had that term work day too was another thing I hadn't heard of before. Mm-hmm. And someone said, "Hey, this lady needed help with a fence." And, I'm really kind of caught up in this. Like, I've got a 12-year-old son. I also have a 7-year-old son, but I was just thinking of Rocco Jr. And, I want him to be around more guys that are just good guys. Obviously believers is great to have him around believers, but not just, it kind of is what we were talking about earlier, not just being at church. He goes to church and sometimes he's engaged and sometimes he's tuned out, so am I, right? We all are. I wanted him to see that, hey, Jesus and we can experience other guys, and we can experience just this camaraderie, community, or whatever. It's Jesus isn't just in church. He's everywhere. And we've had two opportunities. So we haven't had a whole lot, but we've had two opportunities, him and I, to work together, and to see him with these older guys, and some of them weren't older, but just to see them kind of take him under their wing, take him under their wings, and just to see him engaging with that was so. As a father, it was powerful to see that. And then some of the other guys are like, yeah, man, we got to bring our sons. We got to bring. I'm like, I don't know. He needed to work. I needed to put my son to work, and appreciate, that the Nintendo DS or whatever the heck that thing is it's not everybody has it. Some people, it's putting gravel in front of a kind of a rundown apartment complex. That's what we did. Some people, that makes their day. He wouldn't even care, right? But it was such a blessing, to be out there. So what can people do to support like a local I'm guessing that there's lots of these, or there's more of these that are growing, this idea of a construction ministry. So I can't pick up a shovel. I mean, I can't pick up a saw. I would probably cut my arm off. Right. What can people do, guys or ladies or whatever, to help support these types of ministries?
Yeah, definitely. As far as I know, there's different ones all across the country. I know, there's several that I've volunteered with here on the, more on the East Coast-ish, East Coast / South. I know one of the ones that I've worked with is called 8 Days of Hope, and they are based out of Mississippi, but they go all over the country. And that one, that was actually really cool because of two things. So 8 Days of Hope literally is they go into an area and they're there for 8 days, rebuilding after a natural disaster or something like that. So for instance, one of the trips I went on, we were down in right outside of New Orleans, not long after, I think it was Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
One of the hurricanes that hit that area. I forget which one it was. So, and then, like I said, that ministry is really set up to go in about 12 months to maybe even 18 months after some sort of a natural disaster, and work on rebuilding. So we were rebuilding houses, we were rebuilding, community centers, all sorts of stuff like that. The guy that started that, his name's Steve Tiber. Him and his father started it, and after doing that for several years, they started seeing that there was a need for the more immediate response. So going into a storm damaged area, a couple of days after something happened. And so they started a second ministry within it called Hope Reigns. And with that ministry, that's who I went down to South Carolina with. I know you mentioned that earlier. So what that ministry is set up to do is to really go in right after a natural disaster or something like that hits and work on the cleanup. We were doing a lot of what we call mud outs, where we're going in just getting the mud and debris out of people's houses from the flood waters. They have chainsaw crews that if a tornado comes through, they go in cutting trees off people's houses and property, and clearing roads and things like that. So that's one that people can get involved with pretty much from anywhere.
Cool.
But I'm sure if you get on Google or something like that, I'm sure there's opportunities all over the place, with different churches or organizations that do this sort of thing.
Yeah. So it was Hope Reigns is the one that South Carolina, right? It was South Carolina.
Right.
You were the floods. So what specifically were you doing when you were you down there for 8 days or I think it was like a week? Right?
Yeah, for that one, the crew that I went down with, we were able to stay for about 3 days. And they had a team down there for the better part of the month. I think they were down there for right at a month. And so, so that one, the 8 Days of Hope organization, like I said, that one is focused on the 8 days. Hope Reigns is more flexible in that regard as far as a timeline. They can go for a couple days or a month or however long they can make it work. But yeah, so with that one, what ended up happening was the team that I was with, we got basically assigned a neighborhood, and so we went out to that neighborhood. The day before we got there, one of the guys from the leadership team had already been out there and kind of built a little bit of a relationship with one of the people in that community. And so we went out there and kind of started working on his house. And then as others saw us there and got talking with us and everything, we were able to go and do assessments on their houses, figure out what they needed. And we basically just ended up kind of working right down the street. So we'd be at this house, kind of get it finished up, move on to the next house, and right on to the next house. So in those in the 3 days, or 2.5 days that we were down there, we ended up, I forget exactly now, but I think it was about 8 houses that we ended up working on with our team. And then I know after we left, they had another team that was going into that same area to take care of some more houses that were in that same neighborhood.
How awesome of a feeling. This is a loaded question, I guess, but leading the witness, how did it feel when you were done? Like, I mean, I know you were exhausted, I'm sure, but like, were you flying?
It's funny, man, because you're on the one hand, you're flying, and on the other hand, you're brokenhearted because you can't stay longer. I'm driving back up the road, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I've got to go to work. I've got my family. I've got this, and I'm thinking of all these things. But at the same time, I'm thinking, what's really important, and what's really important is being there for our neighbors, and that's one thing I think a lot of times gets misinterpreted or whatever, but in the Bible, when it says, you're supposed to be there for your neighbors, I think a lot of times we take that a little bit too literally, and we think, the guy next door.
Yeah.
But anybody on this planet's our neighbor. We're all in this thing together. And so, you're on that high because you've been down there, you've been working, you've met these people. One of the guys in particular, him and his wife, their house, had 4 foot of water in it, and they were somewhat lucky in the fact they had a split level house. So the top floor of their house didn't end up getting water in it. And he invites us in to sit down and have, we had our bag lunches. And he says, hey guys, y'all come in here. The one day that we were working, it happened to be raining. So he says, y'all come in here, sit down, eat your lunch. And I'm like, man, we're not going to come in. We're all covered in mud and dirt and everything. So we're not going to come into the one room of your house that wasn't destroyed and, sit down and eat our messy lunch and get dirt and mud all over it. And he just looked right at us. He said, man, this is all just stuff. He said, y'all need to come in here and take a break and eat your lunch.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yes, sir. And so we sat in there and got to talking with him and his wife and got to know him and everything. And, they were really a blessing to us because the whole weekend we were there, they let us use their bathroom and everything if we needed that, or if we needed to take a break, come in, sit down for a minute. So it was just really nice to have that kind of connection, and somebody that was willing to kind of sort of reach their hand back to us and help us out as we were there helping them out.
So this was a few weeks ago. I'm trying to remember. Time just flies by, man.
Yeah, it does fly. I forget the exact dates now, but it was. I guess it was the middle of October, maybe like the 16th, around in there. I think
it's January now, right? When is it? What month?
Yeah, I think it's 2020 now.
Oh, jeez, man. Yeah, my 2-year-old she's driving the car right now. Where was I going with that? So I was just going to ask how they're doing. Do you have any contact with the people that you've met, and how's that community doing now? Because honestly, on the West Coast, we didn't hear much about what was going on there.
Right.
And I'm not a big news guy, so I learned about it from you on Facebook, which is how most people learn their news.
Yeah, well, that is news now, right? I mean, I don't think there's any other point for the rest of the news besides Facebook and Twitter. You get it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. The church that hosted us there, got to know their pastor a little bit, and so we're friends on Facebook now. So I've been able to keep up to date with some of his posts. And they're still reaching out to the community. That church was in an area that didn't get hit with the floods, so they were in but they had, of course, a lot of people in their congregation that did.
Right.
But yeah, the last I heard from FEMA, I think it was 23,000 homes that were affected by the flood, and that's just ones that were reported to FEMA. So there's going to be a lot of homes even above and beyond that that didn't report to FEMA because either they had insurance to cover it or whatever the case may be.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think it was about 23,000 homes that were affected. And so, but yeah, in talking with that pastor and a couple people that were involved in ministry that were down there longer, definitely still an ongoing effort, but a lot of progress being made and a lot of stuff happening to be able to reach out to those folks.
Does it get super cold, like ice cold there? Again, here I am, Mr. Southern California. Either it could be 110 degrees or it could be snowing. I have no idea.
Yeah, so you basically just summed up Virginia weather perfectly.
Oh.
Literally, so Friday it was 85 degrees. Today I don't think it got above 45.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we get some goofy weather here.
Okay.
But yeah, we do get some pretty extreme cold. I think last winter, we were down in the single digits a few times, and then in the summertime we're up in the triple digits, and high humidity. So when it's hot, it is just oppressive hot.
Man. So the people that are affected, that are needing this help, they are also facing the oncoming winter, the weather, and everything coming up. So,
right. And that's one of the reasons in particular that the winterizations are so important, especially for folks that typically need that, they don't necessarily have central heat and things like that. They're relying on either a fireplace or, kerosene heaters a lot of times. So, having pipes break and freeze and stuff like that is pretty common.
Boy, I love California.
And also, typically they're older houses, so they have drafty windows and things like that.
Wow.
So, definitely an important thing.
Yeah, California, if you have central air, you're good. And
right.
some people don't even have that. But yeah, I mean,
I'll say, if you have windows that open and a fan, you're golden.
Yeah, although we did, crazy enough, I live in Lake Elsinore. We had a freak snowstorm last year. It was just like, what? And it was like a foot of snow, and it stayed for 3 days. And it never snows. It's not even like, we get a little sprinkling. It never snows. It's California.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. So I wanted to ask you, I want to ask you about Matthew 5:16. So I think you did a Bow Tie Friday video on that.
Yeah.
And so here, I'll just kind of, for the people listening who don't know what Matthew 5:16, I'll just kind of read it real quick here. It says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your," okay. This is terrible. I have really got to get better at my writing. "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." I may have got that off a little bit here, but so this is something that you are really good at that I'm afraid of. And I'll ask this and then I'll let you answer here. So doing something good. I feel like when I do something good, I was afraid to post this fence my son and I worked on. I was afraid because I just felt like way too proud, and I didn't want to be like, hey, look at me. But then there's a balance, which you really do a great job of, because I've never even once thought, oh, James is just showing off. He's Superman there. Help me and anybody listening, right? How do we find that balance, and where does it come from?
Well, let me start with this. Because I mean, hearing you say that is that hits me. Wow. I struggle with that big time, man. And that's one of the reasons that verse is so important to me, because I really do struggle with the, hey, look at me, kind of thing.
And our iPhones make it real easy to do it, right?
Exactly, man.
But we have to. This says we have to find a way to do it, because we have to find it not to be like, and I can't quote scripture very well, but I know there's a place where the Pharisees are like, look at how I pray and I do this the right way.
Right.
So there's that on one side, and then there's this on the other side, and we have to put ourselves out there to try to be this guiding light, right? Right,
and that's what that was the struggle that I went through and I'm still going through with it. I found myself in this spot where, after I became a Christian and I was involved in service and doing things and everything, I was seeking that affirmation and that approval of people, of the world, whatever you want to call it. And I wasn't doing things, and I wasn't serving out of my faith. I was serving because, hey, look how good I am because I went and did X, Y, Z. And it, and it hit me that wasn't right. But I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know how to change it. I didn't know how to, I'm sitting there kind of struggling with myself saying, okay, well, am I just not supposed to serve? Am I not supposed to, tell somebody that I'm serving? Am I only supposed to go serve at night when nobody can see me? I mean, just all these goofy
wear
thoughts.
A mask, witness servant
am I supposed to be like
program?
Zorro with my hat, and I go and help people at night when just all these crazy thoughts start kind of creeping in your mind. And that verse is one. It actually came up while we were on a mission project, and it just kind of came up in passing. Somebody just sort of said it out of whatever conversation we were having, and I mean it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. That was the light bulb moment where I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. I know I want to do this. I feel like I'm gifted in doing it, but I have to use it for him and not for me.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with that. Even now, man. That's been quite a while ago that I kind of had that moment, and I still struggle with it. I think there's, like you said, in today's society with selfies and now we've got Blab and Periscope and all this stuff where we can really put ourselves out there.
Maybe we could Blab a work day. Just have it going on
exactly.
in the background. Look at me.
But we've got all these things, and they're great, they're awesome, connectable. I mean, like we talked on the phone the other day, and I told you, what are the chances without technology that you and I would have ever crossed paths? We live, on the opposite sides of the country, opposite spheres of influence, and so technology can be awesome in that fact, but then powerful. It can also be so detrimental. And so that's something that I try to be real careful with, is making sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons. And I still, I mean, like I said, I struggle with it, man, because a lot of times, especially if I'm posting something, say, hey, check this out. I'll go back and read the post, 2 or 3 times before I put it up to make sure that I'm doing it. Okay, one, am I doing this because it needs to be done and it needs to be shared so I can get help with this project? Or am I doing this because I just want to be looking cool because I did this project? And so that's kind of the struggle that I have with it now. But so hearing you say that, man, that's really cool for me. There again, that affirmation.
Well, what I hear and what I need to hear sometimes, I guess, is some of the struggles that I have. I'm not the only one, because again, then here's another struggle. Am I going to be sort of an imposter syndrome here, that, oh, Rocco just wants people to feel bad for him or whatever, right? That, that here I am, I want to do help. I want to help. I want to help people. Do help. I also need to learn how to speak English. I want to help people, and I'm human too, so I kind of feel like I want affirmation, but I know I'm not supposed to ask for it. There's a balance there. But you pointed something out that would have been really bad. Was part of you was like, maybe I shouldn't do this, and that certainly is not the objective here. I'd rather you do it. I'd rather you help people and continue to help them, even though you're doing it for Facebook likes, and keep doing it, because eventually God's going to hit you over the head, right? And right. You're going to figure it out. Hopefully you'll figure that out, but you learn from that, and other people will set you straight. But yeah, not doing it certainly wouldn't be a good idea. But for me, knowing that, and for the people listening to this, knowing that, you know what, we all go through that. We all have that feeling, but we just have to keep going. And there's that magical.
Well, I think,
go ahead.
And what you just pointed out is, so often we're a lot harder on ourselves than we are, than we deserve, I guess. So here in that situation is a perfect example. Here I am, having that struggle of thinking, man, I'm doing this for pride, but you're looking at me thinking, man, this guy's really humble, and he should stick himself out there even more a little bit. So, like I said, a lot of times you need that kind of grounding to be able to, to have somebody that can say, hey, you're doing okay, stick with it, go for it. And And I think that's one of the things that's especially important in a ministry, or I mean, really in anything, is just having those people around you that aren't going to just be your cheerleaders, but they're gonna be your accountability partner. And if you need to be broken down a little bit, they'll rein you in. Yeah. If you need to be built up a little bit, they'll build you up.
Yeah. Now, one of the things here, and this will segue us into the next thing I want to talk about, because I definitely want to talk about the work you're doing online, is that inspiration piece. And then we talk about inspiration ministry. Boom, there's my segue.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was, man, we practiced that 25 times, people, just so you know. You did great. You caught the cue and everything, whatever. So kind of close that segment either. The inspiring. I see you doing something. I see another person doing something, and we get to know people too. So we know the ones who are sincere, and we see someone doing something. They think, oh man, I want to help people too. I need to do that. So this thing, apparently, I invented the new thing. I need to go put the Wikipedia thing in, the inspiration ministry.
Yeah, you need to get the hashtag going on that.
Which I guess is what we're both doing, but today is about you, not about me. But you just started a website, and I know I haven't known you that long. I've seen your face and your bow tie more longer via Matt Ham and his stuff, but I know this is something you've been working hard on, and you finally got that out there. So tell me a little bit about their website and kind of how you got it going and some plans you have for it.
Yeah. So, that's another thing that all kind of got started out of just weird things coming together. I started doing the Bow Tie Friday thing. I found Matt through Chris Licurdo, and then, got Redefined Rich. Was actually, I got that during the pre-release when it was only available as an iBook. And I started reading it, and, it was one of those books that I kept reading and reading and reading. For those that know me well, I'm not a big reader. I read a lot of books, but I'm not the kind of person that I'll just sit down and just read a whole book. I'll read like a chapter, and then I'll put that book down, and I'll grab this book and read a chapter, and I kind of jump around. But that book just drew me in. And so then, started kind of getting to know Matt through social media, and then sort of, got talking to him and things like that. But he was doing the Bow Tie Friday thing. And so, I called him up one day. I was like, hey, man, would you mind if I did Bow Tie Friday too? And, he was like, oh, no, dude, absolutely, go, have at it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell us give us a
it.
little background on what Bow Tie Friday is, like a Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, so the way I use it is just kind of as a quick little inspirational type thing. Usually, I've done a couple different formats, but I think the one that I feel the best about is when it's kind of that little Friday encouragement sort of thing. But the way I've been doing it is it's a quick little video, usually 10 minutes or less, probably even more like 5 minutes. And I kind of pick a topic. Sometimes a couple times I've done it based on a Bible study that I'm going through. A couple times I've done it on something that isn't necessarily related to faith. Just kind of depends on what sort of gets put on my mind that day. And then sometimes I've done it on just totally random stuff that makes no sense. And I go back and think, why did I do that as a Bow Tie
Sounds like my
Friday
podcast.
video?
Half of it doesn't make any sense, man. We're just throw something out there, see what people like,
Yeah, you see what sticks. And so that's kind of what I've realized that where I feel like I want it to be is that that sort of encouragement piece. And then and actually I don't know if you caught it earlier today, but so last week I wear bow ties, but also I've kind of gotten known around the sort of business community in Fredericksburg for my goofy socks. I've got socks, rubber ducks on them. I've got socks that have bacon and eggs, all kinds of different stuff. And so last week, I remember what it was. I took a picture I was sitting on the tailgate of my truck, drinking a cup of coffee, waiting to go into a meeting, and took a picture of my socks, and it happened to be the socks that have little rubber ducks on them. And I said, hanging out with the ducks, waiting on a meeting or something like that. Well, that stupid picture got probably 10 times more views and likes and stuff than any post that I put on social media.
Oh man,
So I'm thinking, okay,
some of the goofiest stuff.
here we go.
There you go. There's something to run with there.
Yeah. So I was sitting there. I was like, all right, what do I do with this? And so I decided, all right, on Mondays I'm going to do Sock It to Monday, and hashtag it and put it out there and highlight a different pair of crazy socks every Monday. So I did that this morning at 8:30 on Periscope, and I'm going to try to do it every Monday at 8:30.
And I did see it. I liked it. It was cool.
And so there again, the goal behind that one is, there's so much negativity. Oh, it's Monday. Oh, I got to go back to work. Oh, blah, Monday sucks. And I was like, let's do something that's going to make Monday fun.
I love it.
So that's my challenge to everybody. Go out, buy some crazy socks, wear them on Monday. When you've got bacon and eggs on your socks, it is very difficult to take yourself too seriously.
And what's the hashtag again? Sock It to Monday.
Sock It to Monday. Yeah.
Okay. And for the people listening on the podcast later in the future, I'll put that in the show notes. So Sock It to Monday. So we all need to go out and get, I was thinking, like, my son wears like fluorescent green socks with shorts, and he wears them all the way to his knees. And,
nice.
and I love my socks. I'm a suit and tie guy at work. My socks never match, but I love it. I'm going to do it. I got to do it.
Yeah. Nice.
So
nice.
If my wife is listening, can you go pick me up some socks? She's at Walmart right now. So I love it. Oh, there we go, James. You put that out there, and somebody asked for your website. It's www.jamesroberson.me.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And no problem. And of course I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well. So I'm trying to figure out where we wanted to go here. So Haiti. I know we're getting close to the end of time. Well, you know what? We could go as long as this is great, as long as people like it too.
Hey, this is your show. You can do whatever you want.
I can go 3 hours. Somewhere I heard a podcast coach say the question for podcasters, and I'm a relatively new podcaster, is how long should the episode be? And I think the answer is it's as long as it needs to be. So there we go. So you were telling me, and in disclosure, I've got the West Coast Prayer Warriors working on this one for you. Where are you at? You just give a little background for people who don't know, and then where are you at with this Haiti mission thing?
Yeah, so I'm going to take this one kind of a step back, even because it's still blowing my mind. For years, as we've been talking about, I've been involved in construction ministry, but everything has been, in the United States, mostly local to home. I mean, a few where I've gone. I've been to New Jersey and New Orleans and South Carolina and places, but a large majority of it has been, in Virginia, close to home. And I've always felt led that I was supposed to just help here because there was people that were close to me that needed help. And when I was very young in my Christian walk, I remember getting in an argument, well, not an argument, but a discussion with a guy at church. It was, an intense discussion, I guess we could call it, because they were working on this thing, going to, they were going, doing this mission trip. I forget where they were going now, but somewhere, out of the country. And they were talking about how, well, it's going to cost, all this money to get there and blah, 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 blah. And I told the guy, I was like, man, like for the money you're about to spend just in travel expenses, I could darn near build somebody a house, next door here. And so it just, it always kind of struck me weird. And I never, I don't know, I didn't get it, I guess. And so when this whole Haiti thing came up, it really kind of rocked me that it landed in my heart and in my mind, that I even wanted to be a part of it. And I even the first time I blew it off, I thought, no, that must have just been some weird little thought because, I'm not that guy. And then about 20 minutes later, my wife comes up to me and she says, hey, I heard about this Haiti trip. You should go do that.
Wow.
And I kind of looked at her with this sort of blank look on my face, like, what?
Whoa, no getting out of this one, brother.
Yeah. Well, and so, I just went home and prayed about it and started thinking about it and everything. And that's been about a week now, and it's still heavy on my heart. So I'm feeling like I'm called to go, man.
Wow.
And who might argue? but it's a cool opportunity. It's a little different than some of the other things that I've heard about as far as being able to go abroad. We're going to be going down to, well, as long as we can get everything worked out. I still haven't gotten the particulars worked out, but I think like I said, I've been praying about it, so I know if he wants me to go, he's going to make it happen. But I got looking into the organization, and it's an orphanage down there. And it's a small orphanage. They have about 20 kids that are living in the orphanage, and then of course the folks that are there working with them. They have a school and everything, and it's kind of from what I understand, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, Haiti, real close to the border for the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And so it's a really neat opportunity because you're living there with them while you're there. We're going to be there for about a week. And so you're living there, you're eating with them. What we've been asked to do is to build a dormitory, because right now they're basically everything they do is in one building. So they're living, sleeping, eating, doing their studies, everything in this one building. So that's what they'd like, to have a dormitory separate from that one building. But it's really neat because it's a smaller organization. This is the only thing they have, this one orphanage. It's not it's not some big national worldwide organization, but they've got this one orphanage, and it's run by a group. It's several Purdue graduates that all live out in Kansas that got together and set this thing up. So just kind of a cool situation.
What's the name of the? What's the name of the charity?
I was afraid you were going to ask me
that's
that.
Okay. We'll get it to me later. I'll throw it in the show notes.
I'll send it to you and put it in the notes. I've got the website here somewhere, but I don't see it written down. But yeah, so it's just a really cool opportunity. And like I said, it really, at first it caught me weird. I'm like, man, I'm not the guy that goes out of the country. I've got this stuff going on here.
It's funny how God works, right? How Jesus
works.
Yeah,
and that's it really convicted me because I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, here I am. I'm working on trying to get this construction ministry going on here. Why am I leaving and going to Haiti? But like I said, that's been over. Well, I guess about a week now, because it was not yesterday at church, but the week before at church when it got announced. So yeah, a week and a day, and it's still on my heart and on my mind. So
we'll ask
forward with it.
We'll ask all the people live right now on Blab and the people listening on the podcast to just keep James in prayer. And at this stage, you still haven't decided what you're going to do. But obviously, if you do, we want you to be safe and the mission to be a success and all that stuff. So we'll just ask people to pray. Now I wanted before we wrap it up, I'm like, oh hey, I forgot that. Let him continue on talking about his inspiration ministry. Although what you just said was extremely inspirational, but I want to again before we wrap it up, I want to hear about your website and the plans, the future plans. I know we've been talking about podcasts and all this. I'm gonna somehow get a podcast out of you at some point. So,
right.
So tell everybody about what your website and what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't have a plan.
Don't worry.
I'm winging it, man. I'm winging it.
Same thing, man.
No, man. I just that was another one of those things where initially I thought of it as when I first started thinking about it, I'm going to do a website. I thought, okay, I'm going to write down some random thoughts, throw up an occasional blog post, and, it's going to be this awesome thing that people are going to share everywhere, and it's going to be great. But the more I started thinking about it, I got into that thing like I was talking about earlier, where I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't do this because it's just, it's pride wanting to do this, and not, not something I'm supposed to do and all that. And so I've been for about 2.5 years now, I've been journaling. And it's really helped me just, kind of focus in on some stuff. And it's been really cool to go back and read some of the old entries and kind of see where I was and what I was thinking at different times and everything. So it's helped me to learn a lot about myself. And then, I started noticing that every probably 3 to 4 months, I was writing something in the journal about, okay, yeah, I'm going to move forward with getting this website started. And then it would die off, and then I'd write about it, and then it would die off. So I said, okay, it's time to just do it. And so I ended up telling a couple of friends about it. And then I posted it on a couple of Facebook pages that I'm a member of.
Then you're
like,
stuck. There's no backing out.
I'll put it out there now. Yeah, I put it out there. So right now it's just a pretty basic site. Just got.
I've got it right here. I'm looking at it. So if you can be looking away, I have a screen over on this side here. I like it. It's sort of a minimalist, and I mean that in a good way. It's very simple, a minimalist theme.
Yeah.
But we'll let people go. We definitely want people to go to that site to check it out.
Yeah, go check it out. Like I said, right now I've got 2 blogs up there right now, and I've been doing some writing each evening, and got some more blogs that I'm planning on putting up there. It's been cool for me it kind of gives me this little bit of a focus point, where I've been taking some notes and some ideas that I have. Say, hey, I think I want to kind of expand that and write about it. And that's been an interesting journey for me too, because I never really thought of myself as a writer. And I saw at least a little bit ago, my buddy Chris Jones was on here watching. He is a writer.
He's still here.
So I've actually
the top bar there.
Yeah, there he is.
So
I've actually reached out to him a couple of times. Said, "Hey man, how does this work? Or what do I need to do here?" Because like I said, that's his thing. He actually let me give him a quick plug. He's got a book getting ready to come out that is and so I'm sorry, Chris, I just blanked on the title of your book.
Put it in the messages.
I'm a horrible
we
friend. But yeah, please put your link down there for your fundraiser, man. That'd be awesome.
When I saw him pull up here, I remember him and I talked a little on Facebook, and I was supposed to reach out to him Saturday. I'm like, oh man, I totally forgot. I did listen to one of your episodes. I think, it's the lady, John Lee Dumas's girlfriend, Kate Erickson, I think. So, there we go. Thanks, man. So I like it. What, and here we go. I should know the name of his podcast. I barely know the name. I barely know my own name. Chris, throw it in there and we'll say it. So the book is called, because this will go on audio, and audio people won't be able to see this. The book is called The Art and Business of Writing. And this is great. And we've got a link. It's book.chrisjonesinc.com. And Chris, I'm going to write that down because I don't know if I'll see these again. I'm going to put that in the show notes too, because any friend of James is a friend of mine. Chris Jones Inc. And we'll have to check that out. So Chris was helpful in getting you going, getting you inspired, and somebody that who is a writer. He does this for a living. Yeah.
I think as far as somebody that I know who that is their thing. He's the guy. And so so I reached out to him a couple times. I reached out to Matt Ham a couple times, and just some different questions. Like I said, I didn't think of myself as a writer, and basically what both of them told me was just write. Just don't think about it. Don't just get all into the formalities. Just grab a pen or grab a computer, type, write, whatever it is. And so that's what I started doing. And
typewriter? Did I just hear you? I kind of took my attention away for 1 second to write a note,
type,
and I thought I heard
write.
Typewriter. Okay.
No, type or write. I think we do still have a typewriter around here somewhere.
Oh, that's funny.
So I just started doing it, and it's been fun. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what it's going to turn into, but at this point, it's just like I said, I'm just kind of winging it and figuring out where it goes from there.
Awesome. And podcasts, I know we were just kind of scratching the surface of that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's in the works ish.
Yeah.
And this same conversation that you and I had a couple of days ago, where we were talking about the writing and the talking and everything. For me, to talking and the video and stuff like that is just, it feels natural. You stick a camera in front of my face and I kind of turn on. And so that's one reason that I love Blab and Periscope and stuff like that. Has just been so cool. Because it's I feel like for me it's been a kind of a great media to use. So I think the podcast is definitely on its way. I did get the mic the other day, so I've got a decent quality sound mic now. But speaking, is the sound quality pretty good? I've got it hooked up now, but I haven't messed with it a whole lot to see how it works.
No, it's not. Yeah, it sounds fine.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. What's
so yeah,
so for my geek friends out there, because they always love this and I'm always interested. What kind of mic is it?
Oh yeah, hold on. Got the box right here.
Oh, there we go.
All right, so let me get the.
Let's see.
So it's the Audio Technica AT2020 USB-I.
Cool, and you got that one because it connects. You told me this because it connects via Lightning plug into the iPad.
Right. So it's a USB mic, so I can hook it directly into the computer because I'm gonna go that route. And like we talked the other day, man, I'm already getting sucked down the rabbit hole, so I can already see that I'm gonna end up behind a mixing board and all this crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
But, the reason I got this one was because it came with the lightning cable and the lightning hookup, so that I can plug it directly into the iPhone or iPad or whatever. Because my thought was, if I'm ever out and about and I just want to do something, I'd be able to do it with sound quality or whatever. So I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Now the more that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to be sitting in my office doing this. I should have just got that. But anyway, there we go. Second guessing everything.
Oh man. Well, can you return? And for those of you who are wondering, I don't know if anyone cares. I'm using ATR 2100, which is, a lot of podcasters use this one, but I'm very interested in the one you have there too, because now I want to play with my iPad. I don't know, but
yeah. So I'm going to play around with it and see. Like I said, I've been playing with a couple of the editing programs. I downloaded Audacity the other day and been playing with that just a little bit. So I'm sure I'm going to be calling and picking your brain on that pretty soon.
Anything I could do to help, and that, so kind of bringing this all back here to Inspiration Ministry and, the point of talking about podcasting and all this. Now, James, you have a skill that you can build things, and I do not. It's a skill I do not have.
I have a skill that I can tell other people to build things.
There you go. I couldn't even do that. I'd be like, what do you when we did this fence for a lady down the street, I held the tarp, and my friend from the Bible study painted my shoes as well, but also painted the fence. I just did stuff. I'm like, where do I go? I am not talented in that sense, but I like to think.
Well, see, and that's the great thing about construction ministry, man, is you need all those people. It's not just, you don't just need the guys that have some sort of, technical skill.
Right. Well, yeah, I definitely wasn't useless.
We need people that are going to, pick up the trash, or that are going to, rake the leaves, or that are going to, like I said, hold the tarps, whatever it is.
Order the pizza, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's the most important job, really, is ordering the pizza. Yeah.
And finding ways to where our skills match up to the need. And obviously there's a huge need in the construction with the construction ministry, but also getting back to like the writing and the podcasting, we're inspiring people to turn blab off because they're like, who are these two guys? But that's the goal, and you're doing that. You're out there with the writing. Whether you're Ernest Hemingway or not, it doesn't matter, because you're writing. Someone, you may find some haters. I don't know. Someone may say, hey, how come you used the wrong there? That's not the there, that's that there. Who cares, right? Because you're the message. It's about the message.
Right.
The writing continues to get better. I'm sure it'll continue to get better.
If you're coming to my site to grammar police it, you're going to be real busy.
Yeah. So no grammar police, no haters. We'll send them somewhere else. I don't know. But man, this has been a ton of fun. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I don't want to miss. If there's anything you want to throw out there, let me know, because my wife still isn't home, so I might have to cook my own dinner.
Oh no.
I mean, get in trouble. People are going to be like, that's so old school of you. You mean your wife still cooks you dinner? I'm like, well, she said she was going to cook dinner. I don't know. My guess is we're getting some burritos, takeout burritos.
Nice.
Yeah, that's I might have to text her. Bring home a burrito.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds like a good idea.
I love it. Let's see. Go ahead. I was just reading my notes, but I was going to just ask the same question I already asked. So I got nothing left, man.
Okay. No, man, I was just going to say, man, this has been a lot of fun, man. And we ought to talk about doing this again. I think this would be a cool thing to
I agree.
do on a regular basis. I don't know, and what I've been seeing with with Blab and Periscope and some of these other kind of formats coming to light, it offers a it's a unique kind of perspective because you can take, two guys that, don't know much about anything and, hey, we've got a show.
There we go.
So yeah, no, but I think it's cool. I think it definitely it's a cool media, and I'm gonna try to dive into it a little bit more.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah. And
I'm a sucker for video, man. Anything where I can just talk and run my mouth, I'm happy.
Some parting questions I have here, just real quick parting questions here. Who are you following? What blogs are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What books are you reading? Just another one of those things. Whenever I hear a podcast, I love to hear like, what are they reading? I get kind of nerdy that way.
So reading a lot of stuff. Like I said, I'm kind of weird in that respect, where I'll jump into a book, but I won't necessarily read the whole book. I'll sort of pick pieces out of it.
Oh yeah.
But a couple that really that stick out. One thing we didn't really talk about, but I'm a businessman, so I read EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey a couple of years ago, and that book just changed my life, man. Really just changed the way that I looked at leadership, business, and actually really in a business and in a personal sense. And it's also how I got introduced to Chris Licurdo, because at the time he was still with Dave's organization and doing the EntreLeadership podcast and everything. And so now I've gone out and done a life plan with Chris and Joel. And of course I still listen to Chris's podcast, and I'm on one of their mastermind groups. So that whole series of events just really had an effect on me. The other one, of course, Matt's book, Redefine Rich, great book. Like I said, just Matt's ability to tell a story is just really cool. I'm pretty sure that he could just tell us about a squirrel crossing the street, and I would be intrigued.
Oh yeah, I'd throw money at him. I'd be like, "Can I buy that?"
Yeah, he's really got a gift for telling a story. The other one, and I'm gonna goof the title, so I'm gonna turn around and look. Where was it? Oh yeah. The leader's code. It's by Donovan Campbell.
I never heard of that one. I love it when I don't know when it's
I have not. I've only gotten a few pages into that one. Actually, somebody gave it to me for Christmas last year, and it was sitting in a stack of books that I had, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna dive into this one. But from what I've read of it so far, it's been pretty good. He was in the military, so it's sort of taken leadership of military-ish leadership and civilian leadership, and kind of bringing the concepts together. So it's like I said, I've only read about a chapter of it, but been pretty good so far. So I would recommend that one already. I'm looking forward to diving more into it. As far as podcasts and stuff, of course, I follow Chris Licurdo's podcast. Started following yours now.
Awesome. Thank
you. Yeah. Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income. I've been following that one kind of off and on. The EntreLeadership podcast, followed that one. There's a couple others out there, but I think those are probably the ones that I'm sort of a regular listener to. Other ones I'll sort of catch an episode here and there. And what else?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's anything else you come up with, if there's something like, oh, I forgot to say this, just throw me an email or whatever. I'll put it in the show notes. This will come out in a couple weeks. I've got a couple ahead of us, but James, I really enjoyed our time together tonight. Tell everybody again where they can find you, how they can contact you.
Yeah, so
on the internet.
Yep. So if you're in Virginia, look me up. I'm in Fredericksburg. On the web, it's jamesroberson.me, and that's the website. It's got all the links to the social media and stuff on there. I've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And I'd love to have you check out the site. If you go on there and drop me your email, I'm going to start sending out some emails here pretty shortly. Trying to connect with some people. Really, it's funny because at first I wasn't going to try to, do the whole email thing and all that. And then I got to thinking about it, and I want to try to do it. And I want to try to, if I can, I don't know if I can manage it, but I want to try to do it a little bit differently, where I can really, start kind of building some relationships with folks. So far, like at the end of each of my blogs, I've put on there sort of a basically a question or a request for some comments, because I'd really like to get it to the point where people feel comfortable getting involved and diving into those questions and
I like
sharing about them and stuff. So I'd like to be able to kind of start that two-way conversation instead of just me sitting here running my mouth or putting words up that I've written or whatever.
Yeah. No, I like it, man. That's really good. So jamesroberson.com, jamesroberson.me. It's just so easy to say .com. jamesroberson.me.
JamesRoberson.com is owned by some other person, and it's not me.
Yeah, to figure out a redirect or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, all that. I've seen you out there and all that stuff.
Yep. All the social.
Yeah, awesome. And for those of you on Blab, I'm Rocco DeLeo. I am at roccodeleo.com. I have a podcast, and Dad Makes 7, and that's at roccodeleo.com, roccodeleo.com/iTunes, and that's a bunch of self-promotion that just is me, right? James, it's been awesome. We're gonna wrap it up here, and I thank you to everybody listening live and all the people listening on the future magical podcast. So James, have a great night. It's always awkward to close this out because on Skype you say goodbye, but you don't say goodbye, then you talk and nobody else is listening. That would be weird if everyone's watching. So when I hang up, I'm actually going to go hang up and figure out what I'm having for dinner. But man, you were awesome. You were super inspiring. And let's stay in touch for sure, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. And this is a lot of fun.
Awesome. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too.